Okay, so now let's do underrated,
Okay.
overrated.
Oh, good.
All right.
Okay.
Pineapple
Overrated.
pizza.
Oh, throw that shit on there for sure. I mean, I don't think it's I don't think it's I don't think it's underrated because everyone likes it, but I think it's kind of crazy how people are so adamant against it. So
Right.
I guess I would say underrated, I guess, because there's a whole community of people who just hate it so much.
There is, yeah. I don't actually understand
It
that. The
doesn't deserve the
hatred.
hate. It doesn't deserve the hate it gets. Come on. It's just trying to satisfy you with a little sweet and tartness on your pizza. Don't hate on it. All right.
It's a little tropical flavor.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. Um, I think he I think he speaks for himself. I don't think he's overrated or underrated. I think he's a good comedian. He's Seth Rogen. He makes stoner flicks, you know. He's not like he's not like trying to be a crazy dark existential type guy, and he's just very real about it. You know, he's like, "Hey, I have a funny laugh and I make stoner flicks. Enjoy." So, right baseline.
All right. Documentaries.
I think documentaries are underrated,
Mhm.
especially if you get stoned and watch documentaries. Those are really fun to watch stoned. I just gotta say that.
Nice.
So World War II documentaries in specific are very underrated. I love watching those.
Nice. Weed.
Weed, underrated. Weed is very underrated, especially as a country. We do not utilize weed as the tool that it is. Like obviously it's great to get stoned and zonk out for a little bit, but I think you should only do that maybe once or twice a week, you know? And like how cool would that be if those are the same nights that you're going out and drinking every night and poisoning your body?
Right.
You know, I drink alcohol still and whatever, but I just drink a lot less alcohol because I smoke weed now every once in a while.
Mhm.
I don't even smoke weed anymore. I just do edibles, honestly. So
Nice. Tool.
Tool for the okay, if you would have asked me this question about 2 months ago, I would have said so overrated. I would have just died on that hill that Tool is like people are hyping them up way too much. I have become a fan of Tool in the very recent times, and I would say they're underrated. Like
Yeah.
everyone, I think they do deserve the hype that they get. Obviously, like I don't go into the whole. I haven't done it yet where I go into like the number sequences and how you can find a tree stump with 13 rings, and the 13 rings symbolize the 13,000 years that there's going to be an earthquake or something like that to that one part of their song. And it's like
Uh-huh.
I haven't gotten there yet, but I used to think they were so overrated. But now I'm like, okay, I get it. I like this. I'm like a huge fan of this now.
Yeah.
So
They're like my favorite band, so I just needed to throw that in there.
I'm glad.
I need to know where people stand on that.
It's been an awakening, and I've like shown it to some of my friends in the sense of like, okay, like don't worry about the whole. Just they're a really good metal. They're a really good rock band. Just listen to them as a good rock band, and that will change your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think if you start off with like, oh yeah, they're this band that uses algorithmic sequences and whatever, you're like, oh, get that shit out of here, dude. Like I don't care. You know, whatever. But if you just listen to them as a good rock band and then let that kind of seep into your system naturally, then it's like, oh, you can take this so far. You know, that's at least my experience.
All right. Music lessons.
Underrated. I think the cool thing is like, oh yeah, like I never learned any theory, and like I don't know anything about music, and that's kind of like the mindset. But I'm a firm believer in like learn the rules so that you can break the rules. I think.
Hmm.
Um, I maybe not music lessons as far as like sitting down and paying some guy, you know,
Hmm.
30
Yeah.
bucks, 30 bucks for 30 minutes to like show you the GCA, the cage, whatever. But like actually learning about theory and why the notes are there, and also being able to talk in a certain like it's almost like being able to like it's I love that I can like go over to my drummer and just be like, hey, we're ending on the 5, you know, which is a super normal thing to do in music. And it's like it's almost this like these little shortcuts like you can take to just make writing and creating a lot easier when you
Hmm.
know what the tonic is, and you know what your dominant chord is, and you kind of know what key you're playing in or what scale you're using. Just makes things a little bit easier to just be like, hey, like we're gonna start on we're gonna start in G minor, or we're gonna fuck it all up, so just start there, you know.
All right. Van life.
Van life,
Hmm.
over or underrated? um I would say it's underrated. I've done tours where I stayed in hotels, and I've done tours where I stay in a van. And I think why the van life is underrated is because when you know you have to sleep in a van every night, or sorry, when you know you're gonna sleep in a van every night, then you want to make friends with the people that you're there with, so you
Hmm.
don't have to sleep in the van and
Yeah.
stay at the house. You know, it's like if I don't be nice to these people, and if I don't like talk and hang out and like make friends, then I'm just gonna sleep in the van later. But if you if you have nowhere else to, because if you have a hotel room that you're going to, you can be like, okay, play a show. I'm gonna go sleep in my super nice hotel. Um, yeah, if you're committed to the van bit, then you kind of like you are more resourceful, and like you learn to live that way a little bit better, which I think is one of life's simple pleasures almost.
Nice. All right. Well, that's all I have for you today. That was, yeah, that was cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.